here. All right, perfect. Oh, you get the Lions jersey on here.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I got the Calvin Johnson jersey here, old school.
Oh yeah,
Got to shout out my Lions here after that huge win over the Minnesota Vikings.
yeah. Cheated in every way.
What?
You know, we all saw it.
What?
Um, yeah, just I'm pretty sure they had 12 guys on the field the entire time. They
Oh,
were
is
just
that
cheating.
right?
Yeah.
I totally missed that. Totally missed that.
Yeah. So, all right, welcome in. We are looking at some early window stuff. We don't have too much time here, so we'll just kind of pick through the important stuff. Um, you know, I guess.
I mean, do you want to start with like some of the big headlines here and just kind of go from there? So we fear torn ACLs for both Brandon Ayuk and Deshaun Watson. So probably no one's too upset about the Watson news, but I don't know. Ayuk hasn't been that much better this season, but obviously we were hoping that he would get on track. But definitely a couple of big name players there that are going to have a big impact on fantasy the rest of the season in terms of those injuries.
Yeah, I mean, Ayuk would have been really nice to see him turn around, but now
Hmm.
he's, yeah, probably out unless there's a miracle. I guess at least this provides, Jennings. Anybody that has Jennings or Pearsall,
Mhm.
window
Or Jacob
fantasy
Cowing,
wise.
who we saw
Cowan,
there, made a big catch there for 40 something yards.
that's
So
right.
yeah, we got a ton of Jacob Cowan shares, so we're definitely excited to see him out there. So maybe this opens up an opportunity for him. Uh, Definitely, if he's sitting around on any like waivers and dynasty, you got to add him immediately.
Yeah.
And who knows? I mean, it would be really cool if he became like relevant in redraft. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he's a bad pickup as just like a speculative ad.
I mean, he had his second most yards, and he really only played one half. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's our
So I
boy
mean,
right
if
there.
you have like a deep bench and redraft,
Yeah.
or maybe just hurting at receiver, and there's not a lot on the waiver wire, definitely someone to look out for.
Now, wow, did Whittington just put up a zero this game?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
I don't know what happened there. I assume he was out there. I haven't seen like the snaps yet. But yeah,
It was questionable, but yeah, I don't know what ended up happening with him.
he played. I mean, he was taken. He was active for the game, and I just have no clue what happened there. So we'll have to look into that further.
Yeah.
Um,
Meek just gross, but Mecole Hardman actually ended up having a half
yeah,
decent game, got a touchdown. Kareem Hunt with a huge game. Oh my god! If anything, Chiefs fantasy is like a mess though.
right,
It's
right. But yeah,
difficult
we
to keep
we
up.
like McCole Hardman. We picked him up in the dynasty league that we co-manage. So yeah, I'm not too surprised there. It seemed like there might be some opportunity for him to emerge because, I mean, you have Juju, you have Xavier Worthy,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I mean, beyond that, it's just what like Justin Watson. So I kind
yeah,
of felt like there was some opportunity for Hardman to emerge.
yeah.
So yeah, I added him in a couple of dynasty leagues this week. Yeah, he's kind of interesting. Like even in redraft, like if you're hurting at receiver, he's someone you could consider.
Yeah, and speaking of Juju, nowhere to be seen. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I think he got banged up in the
oh
game.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just crazy like how many people touching the ball there and like touching the ball
Mhm.
twice. Like not very attractive for fantasy, to say the
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, the Chiefs like to spread the ball out sometimes. And yeah, we didn't see too much from Xavier Worthy. Three catches for 19 yards. He did have eight targets though, so that was nice to see. Um, I didn't expect a ton of scoring in this game, to be honest. Chiefs 49ers just didn't sound like a super high scoring
Yeah,
game. So yeah, I mean, I think we're just going to continue to be patient with Worthy. I think he'll eventually emerge, and I think his time is coming sooner than later. So I'm not too worried about him.
yeah. Let's take a look at the Browns Bengals. Nothing really on the Bengals side that sticks out, but Nick Chubb comes back. Inefficient but got a touchdown. Good to see for him. And then we had three quarterbacks playing. So yeah, Winston was the emergency QB.
Yeah.
Goes in, and I guess you could say he lit it up for like a drive or
Hmm.
two, if you want to call it that. But yeah, DTR in Watson. Nothing special, but of course Watson tore his Achilles. It sounds like so he's probably pretty much in dynasty. He's probably just toast. I mean, I actually just traded him away basically for free
Oh,
in a deal.
nice.
Like, yeah, I put him in a deal with a pair of seconds to get Deontay Johnson a Wicks, like pre Wicks, you know,
Out.
like yeah, getting injured and stuff. But I was just like, I don't even know. No one wants Deshaun Watson. I'm just gonna throw him
Yeah.
away like he's nothing, so I can get a
Yeah.
deal done. And
Yeah.
it just felt like this was gonna happen eventually. Sure enough, it does. So,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, his value. I mean, it already felt like it was practically a zero in dynasty. I mean,
yeah.
it has to be like, I mean, pretty much zero now. I
Seeing
mean, like,
seeing him in a deal, like you could be okay. You could send a same offer. It'd be like a 2 for 2,
mhm.
and it might get accepted from an owner. You throw Deshaun Watson on your side, it feels like they're gonna go, no, they're not gonna take it now. It was like honestly like negative trade value
Yeah,
having Deshaun Watson.
honestly, like he makes the deal look worse. He's
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, he's officially one of those guys where it's like, you know what? Let me just like keep him out of
yeah,
that first offer I send the other owner because like it's just gonna make the deal look worse because it's just like you just see Deshaun
yeah,
Watson's name
yeah,
in a
yeah.
trade offer. You don't even see like what else is in there. It's just like
Yeah, yeah.
no,
You just feel like it's a Deshaun offer. I mean, that's what I ended up doing myself. When I added him in, I was like, dude, I am not putting any value behind Deshaun Watson. To be honest, like you could just have him. Like you just take
right,
him.
right.
If like he's
Yeah,
obviously
take it
not.
off my hands. Like I'm
Yeah,
just I'm
I
tired of dealing with them.
I basically had said to him, like, like Deshaun Watson's still worth something. I mean, we could agree on that, right?
In
Like
theory,
something.
in
Yeah, I
theory,
wasn't saying. I'm not saying it's a
allegedly.
lot. I'm saying it's worth something, so you should want him. And then he ended up taking the deal, but
Yeah,
so
but I think what you were saying about like this is something we like to say about like certain players where it's like they should be worth something, but like in reality they're really not. But like if you can like add them to a deal to like get it done, where like if you couldn't have gotten the done deal without it, but like throwing in this guy is like the difference, then just do it. If you can just get
yeah,
like any credit for him whatsoever at this point,
yeah.
just ship him away.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad I did that. I dodged a
Yeah.
bullet with he's worth nothing. And then I'm looking at his pass catchers. This is where we've been anticipating Winston getting in here at some point. Sure enough, he gets in there, throws a touchdown.
Mhm.
A guy I've been trying to bang down the door for, but I've only gotten one share. Um, it's been David Njoku. It's been hard to get him, but he puts up basically that Evan Ingram stat line from last week.
Mhm.
But he puts on a touchdown. Yeah, I mean, it feels
Yeah,
like,
10 catches, great game.
yeah, it feels like you want, Njoku in every format, but in tight end premium formats, like he's feels like he could be a league winner with
Oh
Winston.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely in any format, but certainly in tight end premium, he could be getting a lot of catches with Amari Cooper
Yeah,
gone, and I think the change of quarterback is only going to help him, especially if it's Winston. But even if it's DTR, it might be like a upgrade at this point. I mean, who
yeah,
knows? But yeah, we don't have to worry about Watson
yeah,
anymore. But
yeah,
definitely wheels up for Njoku. And if you do have David Njoku on like a rebuilding dynasty roster, I think this is probably the week you sell him because
yeah,
like I mean, his value will probably like be at its peak right now. I mean, who knows? I mean, okay, if he strings together like a few monster weeks, I mean, certainly it could continue going up. But I definitely think if you've been trying to sell Njoku, like this is a good week to get it done. Monster game, just everything's trending in the right direction for him. So yeah, now would be a good
yeah.
time to sell him. But I wouldn't be afraid to buy him if I'm a contender either.
Yeah, I mean, I really think, although this certainly could be the peak, and if you're a rebuilder, it's rather you might as well just get out now.
Yeah,
So I completely agree with that. But if for some reason there's hesitation in your league for people buying them at what he should be worth, and you
yeah.
see, especially if you see Winston's playing next week, I
Mhm.
certainly at that point, you might almost feel comfortable walking into performance is what I've been feeling for a little while here. But yeah, of course, if you can get out, injuries and stuff can happen.
I want to just avoid like it's or whatever. I think to explore trading if you've been trying to. I mean, don't take just anything. Don't give him away. If you don't get a fair offer, don't
Yeah,
be afraid to roll.
yeah,
Roll with him next week and hope he puts up another big game and then continue to try to sell him.
Yeah, definitely buying. Njoku for.
All right, Blake, you're
Oh,
frozen on my end.
you're frozen on my end.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we're back now.
Oh,
So
here we go. Yeah. Okay.
there.
Yeah, and then one quick mention. Cedric Tillman had a great game.
Yeah.
Judy he had a disappearing act, but honestly, if you can use that, I don't have any Judy, but I would actually like to kind of get him thrown into some deals.
Yeah.
Because if it's Winston time, any of these receivers I feel like can kind of turn into a monster.
Yeah, and I'm buying Cedric Tillman a little bit. He was a third-round draft pick a year ago, and there were some positive reports about him in the offseason saying that he would be a good candidate for like a second-year breakout. He was looking good in the offseason. So I added a few shares of him on Dynasty Leagues when Amari Cooper was traded away. I didn't expect him to put up a stat line like this so soon. What was it, 8 catches for 81 yards? He also caught a 2-point conversion. So definitely someone that I think that you can add not only in Dynasty Leagues, but I think he's someone that could be worth picking up in redraft leagues just to see if he keeps this up or anything close to it. And yeah, he just kind of falls into that Amari Cooper role, it seems like. So yeah, definitely add Tillman anywhere you can.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And then Texans Packers, Stroud puts up just like 86 yards. Like what is?
Oh my God, I didn't even realize.
I guess what I'd say, and I've been saying this for a while. I mean, even the off season, Stroud is like, as much as I love him, him and Mahomes to me are the most overpriced players. But the fact is, it's probably actually Stroud now because he doesn't seem to have his value affected like at all the way he's been playing this season. When in reality, like, he really hasn't been doing. I know he's had a couple of decent games. That's going to come with Stroud.
Yeah.
He should be putting up a couple monster-ish games. 25 or whatever. But you just look at every other quarterback in the league: Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield. I mean, Jordan Love, who he played this week. Like, they're doing it week by week. So it's like, what's the point of having Stroud? What's the edge you're getting with him? He's not actually providing you an edge. I mean, the only benefit is that you feel like you can have him for a long time. But, I mean, all those guys are on contracts anyways, those other quarterbacks.
Right.
So Stroud really just feels like one of the most overpriced dynasty assets to me. And, again, hopefully he can turn it around. But I would rather Jordan Love over him. I would rather Jordan Love over Patrick Mahomes. Like, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I got one share of Stroud in Dynasty, and it's been pretty brutal. Yeah, I mean, a couple nice games, but like overall, definitely not what I signed up for or what I was hoping for. I really thought that he had a chance to take a step forward in his second year, which he still could, and just have just one of those like monster league-winning type of seasons. Like I think of like what Patrick Mahomes did in his second season. I'm not saying I expected like 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns, but I thought a season like close to 5,000 yards, like 35 plus touchdowns was in the range of outcomes. And who knows, maybe he gets hot here at some point, especially once he gets Nico Collins back. That injury certainly hasn't helped things as he was the number one receiver there. And it was kind of a tough matchup. I mean, the Packers have a pretty good defense. It's on the road in Lambeau. The Texans are a warm weather team coming into, well, I don't know. I mean, I think it actually was warm in Green Bay, so I can't even give them that excuse. So, I'm not going to make it.
I mean, we saw like Sam Darnold walk in there and throw like 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah.
I know, again, this is just kind of like the lowest of the low for Stroud.
Yeah.
But it's just not very, it doesn't help you out if you're a Stroud owner. Doesn't really justify walking in the season with him as like, was he like a top 3 asset behind basically Mahomes and Allen and I mean he's got to be just kind of like a high end QB2 right now at this moment. Of course he could turn it around. I hope he can because
I wouldn't panic sell him or anything like that. I mean, you're just holding Stroud. Better days will be ahead for sure. But yeah, I think if you did invest in CJ Stroud, you probably just have to kind of take the L at this point. And hope it gets better.
Here's what I would say though. If you're a Stroud owner and you can go get, especially let's say a scenario comes up next week, Stroud goes for 30. Let's just say it's 20.
Mhm.
He has a good game, 20, 25 to 30 range around there. Um, Jordan Love. I don't know. He seems to do good every week, so I won't even really mention what scenario would happen for him. He just puts up his Jordan Love performance. I'm trying to get from C.J. Stroud to Jordan Love. I'm trying to get from Mahomes to Jordan Love. And like
Mhm.
the funny thing is you probably don't need to add to get Jordan Love because of their names, but you should be adding, in my opinion, to get Jordan Love. Like he does it week in and week out.
Mhm.
Um, Even in real life, he just slings it. Like it's kind of he's almost just like Jameis Winston level slinging. You know, I mean, not that bad, but the fantasy points like they're coming every week. You know, again, there's another
Mhm.
2 interceptions today, but it doesn't matter. Like he's always letting it fly. He has some rushing upside, although it doesn't look like he even had a rushing yard this game. But yeah, I mean, he's got so many weapons. I'm loving. I'm wishing I had Jordan Love in fantasy right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I have Love in one dynasty league. It's just been a pleasure
Yeah.
owning him. So yeah, I definitely don't think that's a bad call. I mean, in terms of like trying to go from Stroud to
Yeah.
Love. I mean, it's crazy at this point. Like now you would have to like tier up to like do that and like add something on top to Stroud, I imagine.
I don't
Um,
know. I don't really like. I don't think you would have to, but it was because if we're in the situation where Stroud just puts up like a good performance next week. I mean, he
yeah,
is C.J. Stroud. Like
right.
people love him. I mean, really, him and Jordan Love had really similar performances last year, anyways.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that did not seem to be priced in. I don't know. It would be interesting to see. You know,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this might be a situation where what you see on Keep Trade Cut
yeah, it's
might not be reflected when you go to the Jordan Love manager and say, "Hey, like, let's do a swap of C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love, and yeah, what are you going to give me on top?"
yeah.
I
They're
mean,
like, no,
like you can imagine like the response that you're going to get from the Jordan
yeah,
Love owner, like, what are
yeah.
you smoking?
I mean,
So
even if you're going from Stroud to Baker or Goff, like, I mean, those guys are outperforming Stroud right now, right? Like,
yeah.
it's just
Well, here's
what
the
are
thing.
someone really willing to give on top of that?
I think this is the situation where you could legitimately explore some kind of fair trade offer involving CJ
Yeah,
Stroud. If you're a contender that owns CJ Stroud and you're going to a rebuilder
yeah,
that owns Jordan Love or Baker Mayfield or Jared Goff, like one of these guys that maybe you're interested in doing some kind of swap with. And I think that's a situation where you could do it because a rebuilder is much more likely to look past the present and like what's happening right now this season and recently and would be willing to consider a move that if they believe in Stroud, believe in Stroud in the long term and maybe they don't see a very long future for guys like Baker or maybe even Goff, even though I believe in both those guys personally. So yeah, if I'm a contender, I definitely wouldn't mind doing that swap and like getting something on top. So I think it's at least worth exploring.
yeah.
I mean, what would you need on top of like a Baker or Goff to get off a Stroud in Dynasty?
I mean, let's be real about the value. I mean, in the open market, those quarterbacks are just worth as good as they're playing. They feel like they're really not worth more than a first. They should probably be more.
Hmm.
But again, if you want to look at the value side, you feel like you need at least like a mid first kind of thing. Like I don't want that almost guaranteed 112 back.
Yeah,
If I get like a random first, then now we're talking. But
yeah,
even then, like that's still if you're a Stroud owner, like again, you feel like you're losing so big selling at that price that you're probably just holding. But then if on top of the quarterback in the first, you can get something else on top. Maybe it's like a Ray Davis, a couple pieces like that. Like then you're getting in territory of feeling like okay, I can move off this, Stroud.
yeah. And I honestly, I don't even think you could get that kind of offer.
Yeah, I don't know if you could. That's the
And,
issue.
and I think this is a great example of like how different values are in
Yeah,
Dynasty between the off season and like during the season.
yeah,
because like in the off season, you could probably get something like that easily.
Oh
But like
yeah,
during the season with like Stroud struggling,
yeah,
like I it gets so clouded where it's kind of like, well, what's even the difference between these quarterbacks? In
yeah,
fact, Baker and Love and Goff are like probably all out producing Stroud. So it's like, why am I going to move a future first to effectively like down tier?
yeah,
It's supposed to be like
yeah,
a up tier,
yeah. Especially if you're
like
competing.
theoretical value.
Yeah. So maybe just yeah, if you can't get really anything for Stroud, I mean, you really just gotta hope he heats up at the end, and
Mhm.
you might just be stuck with him and bring him in the off season, and hopefully his value is recovered. But I mean, the reason, yeah, I didn't want really Stroud in any leagues. I sold him in the two I had drafted him in. Um, was I mean, I was just looking at Trevor Lawrence, right? And I mean, I thought Trevor Lawrence was going to take a step, basically his second season. We could that rookie year is just like complete write off, anyways.
Yeah.
So he was like going to have a second year leap.
Yeah.
I mean, his receiver sold him. Like he didn't play amazing or anything like that, but he showed some spikes in the end. But yeah,
Yeah.
his value did not recover at all. He plummeted down on what felt safe. So I kind of applied that to CJ Stroud, who was even more valuable than Trevor Lawrence the year before. And, sure, maybe he won't take as a big of a tumble as Trevor Lawrence, but with those, like, you haven't seen it more than 1 year pocket passers, it's like,
Mm.
I'm a little sketched out, with those types of quarterbacks, I guess is what I'd say.
Did Lawrence's value really go down during his second season?
Like no, but like from a second to his third. But I was
Oh,
saying it was kind of like a second season because I mean like the rookie year was just complete write off with all
oh,
that
so you're
Urban
so you're
Meyer.
saying you're really talking about his third season?
Yeah. I was just saying
Yeah.
if you just throw that Urban Meyer season out of the window,
Okay,
I
I
mean
see.
it's a similar situation. Like Trevor Lawrence, had a great second year, which was almost like his first year. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so did Stroud, but they were one of the premium assets. You need to take them with like a top six pick, or top three in this case with Stroud. So I
Mhm.
just, especially when you haven't seen them be basically like a top one quarterback, like a top three in a given season. Like it's so hard on a pocket passer to pay that. Where if you're gonna
Right.
pay that price for like Joe Burrow, at least you've seen him do it,
Yeah.
multiple years, right? So
And yeah, and just to kind of complete the thought about that trade where you're going from Stroud to someone like Goff or Baker even. I mean, I don't know if like a rebuilder would send you more than like a second or two on top of that. I don't think they'd want to move a future first, especially as a rebuilder to make that
that's
move.
right. Yeah.
So you could certainly try, but yeah, it's just kind of like a weird trade to kind of pull off. So like honestly, Stroud might actually be more of a buy than a sell
Yeah.
with where his value is, not on keep trade cut, but actually in reality in terms
Yeah.
of like how it's perceived in real dynasty leagues right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
So
if you had a ton of like if you just had a really valuable team, is the only time I can really think of like how you as a maybe a contender, how you could get to Stroud and like kind of justify it. You had a
yeah,
bunch of picks hanging around. You got Baker Mayfield, and then yeah, you catch that guy panicking, and maybe he wants Baker or something right now. You go, okay, well, you know, I'll give you the better quarterback right now, but
right.
I'm gonna need a good price. And yeah, I mean, again, in real reality, you could just throw a first on top. I mean, you'd
Yeah.
be like just so disrespected if you got that offer for Stroud in the offseason. But now,
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I think just a lot of emotion can get involved in the Stroud. But you're right. At some point, what I'll say is, if this continues, at some point he'll be like a true buy. It would
Yeah, I mean,
depend
I
on the
mean,
owner
after
right
this
now.
game, I think we're probably already there. And I mean, I'm not even sure I'd throw a first on top of like Goff or Baker to get to Stroud because I'm not even sure if I have to, at least like in every league. And so, like, I mean, I don't need to buy Stroud in every league. So it's like, if I can just buy him in like
Yeah,
one or two at a price of like Baker in a second,
Oh my
or
god, yeah, no, there's no shot. Like the thing is, like it might
you
not
never
seem
know.
crazy right
You
now.
never know. I mean, if there's a contender
Oof.
and like, I mean, Baker plays
Yeah,
tomorrow. I mean, what if it's
yeah,
just like a crazy shootout between the
yeah.
Ravens and the Bucks, and Baker just puts up
Oh,
like 35 points, and it's like he's like the QB2 on the season.
yeah.
It's like if
I
you're a contender, like I mean, people make crazy deals. I mean, we see them, so it's like I really don't care what KTC says. Um, yeah, you might be able to get a crazy deal where like, yeah, you give a contender like Baker and like a second, and maybe you throw
maybe
in
you
like a
gotta
High
maybe it's
Chandler.
like Godwin would need to be in that deal, like a player like that that's going
Okay, sure.
off and a
Yeah,
veteran,
throw in
but
Baker,
no
Godwin in a
extra.
second, and you get Stroud.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
like
I'd be willing
I
to
think
accept it.
that's much more realistic. But to basically, I mean, that's almost like a one for one swap when you're talking like that level of player. Like,
Yeah,
it's especially with like just sunk they like lost the whatever sunken cost fallacy. Like,
yeah,
there's no shot a human being can just like accept it, even if it was the right decision. Even if you had in front of you Baker Mayfield is going to outperform in the next 5 seasons, like a human being cannot click accept on that deal unless they're getting like sold on another angle, which is like, okay, well here is a top 5 receiver going forward in Godwin or something like.
yeah,
That's when I can start to see someone
yeah. But even then,
selling
I would only
low.
do that if I like can't get like a late first for like
Yeah,
Godwin, and then like at that point, okay, Godwin isn't worth
yeah,
that. Now he's more of a guy like I can throw in and value at
yeah,
like a second or your second plus or
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
if you think that would actually have a chance, like the second, then oh my God, Stroud is like the biggest buy in that case. But I don't think he's. I think he's
but
got a
here's the
long way
thing.
to go still.
Let's
For
clarify something. If we're buying Stroud at a discount right now in Dynasty, are we doing it for his value or are we doing it for like his fantasy points, for his like war difference making ability in
Yeah.
the future? Like, why are we doing it?
Well, I mean, number one, I guess without Nico, you would say his value could shoot up with Nico and his points producing with
Okay, so
Nico.
both, you
But
think?
I think it would be both. Yeah, I mean, he's
Yeah.
underperforming and his value's going down. So
But we've
we
also talked about before, like, what's the difference between like all of these
yeah,
like
yeah.
good pocket passers like in the NFL,
Yeah.
these starting
Which is why
quarterbacks.
I'm not buying right now because I don't think you're gonna. Even though I know he had a bad week, like it takes repeated and repeated and repeated for a guy that high to go
Yeah.
down. Like I need it'd probably be a thing where you're in like week 12, a guy's like trying to make. I mean, basically around a trade deadline. I think
Mhm.
that and if Stroud hasn't turned it around by then and Baker Goff is lighting it up, those types of quarterbacks, like
Yeah.
that's when you're getting that deal done because that guy
Mhm.
doesn't want to take poor CJ Stroud into the playoffs and he
Right.
wants to have the red hot quarterback. I don't think you're
Right.
getting that done right now, but again, that'll be when the buy. If that scenario happens, you know,
But
where
yeah,
he
I guess my
keeps it up.
point is I would rather make a bet, and maybe now is not the time to make this bet, but I would rather make a bet that the difference between
Yeah.
CJ Stroud and guys like Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield
Yeah.
is not nearly as much as what the market thinks it is. So, like, I will take something on top of
Yeah.
Goff and Baker versus a guy like CJ Stroud personally.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, now is not the time to make that kind of trade. But I guess just like kick the tires on Stroud and see what his value is because sometimes you can get some crazy good deals on quarterbacks during the season. So, yeah, it's kind of like hard to sum up exactly what to do with Stroud in one simple sentence.
I
But
just
we've talked about the nuances of that. So, kick the tires, see what the price is.
yeah.
But, he could be a good buy right now, but also the difference between him and some other pocket quarterbacks, it might not be
Yeah.
great. And I believe in guys like Baker and Goff long term. I think they're
Yeah.
great buys in Dynasty, even if you're
Yeah.
kind of buying high a little bit on those guys.
Yeah, I get maybe it's within at least from here on, or I guess this entire season, the window of where you could trade Stroud. He's probably at some point going to be or has been the most overvalued player, and at some point might be like a great buy later. At some point, starting from Nick now to the end of the season, he could be
Yeah.
one of the biggest buys. So he's kind of all over the place, and I guess for his knowing these dynasty leagues like the owner to owner it will probably vary
Yeah, exactly. So that's the
dramatically.
thing. Like, especially in season, values vary so much.
Yeah.
So we can't always just give like one blanket statement for things. It really depends on what the price is. In some cases, like if Stroud is still getting his KTC value,
Yeah.
I would say he's like a screaming sell right now.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, if Stroud's real life value is closer to what I suspect it is after kind of a rough up and down season so far and an absolute dud of a game, in that case, like I'm buying Stroud if I can just, get him for a quarterback that I don't believe in as much long term and throw in some junk on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also, oh shoot, what was I gonna say? But anyways, yeah. Tank Dell is there too, and I've kind of had the same.
Oh yeah,
thought
he
for
was a
him
good
as, like,
today. Like I don't know. I
yeah,
mean,
he had 0 catches. Like,
probably just a game you just have to like kind of throw out for the Texans and not like read too much into.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that, I mean, even a good offense can put up a dud. Anyone can put up a dud. Any player can put up a dud. So it's nothing to really panic over. It is disappointing, especially since Tank Dell has been disappointing for most of the season. And it's like now's his chance. He had a good week last week. You figure he's going to stay hot and take advantage of his opportunity. But I imagine he was probably just brought down by his entire
there was 86
throwing up to the game.
Yeah, there was 86 yards thrown. So I mean, not
Exactly,
much to go around there.
What is he to
But,
do? Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
That says it all. That says it all.
So, anyways, yeah, the one thing, yeah, that was just like, if you can trade Stroud for any given quarterback right now, it is Jordan Love. It to me, if it's because you actually might be able to get something on top. The other thing I had, and I guess we could talk about Anthony Richardson real quick, is that, I mean, again, just another like, not pretty poor game for fantasy, like 9 points, but I mean, he barely threw for any yards. Like, I don't know what's going on there, but he at least showed, hey, okay, we're running them. You had 14 for 56. That at least gives me a little bit of confidence, like, going forward. Apparently, Miami's been the worst matchup for quarterback. If you were, like, a high gamp, you're high risk, like, you really want to roll it, and you believe in Anthony Richardson, I definitely am not suggesting this if you're not an AR guy. But if you're kind of like me, if I own Stroud in a league where, like, you're already not getting great quarterback, I wonder, like, how much you could get on top of from the AR owner that probably just wants to get rid of him for. Because the thing is, when you're the AR owner, there's, like, no floor. Like, that's the issue. It feels like there's no floor. We haven't seen the ceiling since week 1. So, I mean, they might just be like, oh, I can get my, like, 15 points from CJ Stroud. Like, ooh, I need that so bad. And then this would be, like, a crazy tear down to AR. But, like, oh, my God. Again, I'm just treating this like it's AR's rookie season. I'm just trying not to, like, overreact game by game and, see if he can finally remember how to play quarterback.
Yeah.
But anyways, I thought that would be like kind of like a crazy. I don't think anyone else would tell you to tear down from Stroud to AR, but I think you could get a good sum on top. The way that AR
I think it'd be a lot easier after a good Stroud game. So I don't know if this is the week to do it. Stroud bounces back next week, and then maybe you can get that done. But I think these quarterback swaps in season are probably like the trickiest trades to make.
Because they are,
like that huge gap between their value in the offseason versus their value in season. And not just in season as a blanket statement, as like a generality, but like each week it's like something different based on what they just did in the last game. So like it's so complicated to do these quarterback swaps in Dynasty.
Yeah. Oh, and another candidate, just because he's been kind of sneaky good, just given the circumstances, is Hurts. If you're looking for a quarterback swap.
Yeah.
I mean, he only completed 10 passes. They didn't need to throw the ball at all. And yeah, I mean, when you complete 10 passes and you have like 26 fantasy points or whatever you had, I mean, that's awesome. Like that's kind of like what was my AR argument. And again, like it's another reason to love Hurts. And yeah, he's got a great schedule going forward. I think you can get him at like a non-Jalen Hurts price, even if it's just a slight discount. I
think this past week was like the perfect time to buy Hurts. So hopefully you possibly did that or at least tried. Yeah. But he still might not be a terrible buy right now, kind of like on his way back up. Because, I mean, we looked at Hurts's ATC value last week,
Yeah. Oh my
And
God.
I forget what it was exactly,
It's
but
like
it was crazy.
19.
It was 18
No,
overall.
19 overall.
19 overall. So
Yeah.
yeah, at that price, he was a screaming buy. So it's not going to immediately go from 18, 19 and shoot back up to being like top five or whatever. So like if it's back up to like 15 now or something like that, he's still probably a buy because that's still probably lower than he should be.
Yeah. Still 19. Yeah. I mean, he didn't have a nutty week. He just had a like really solid week again.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy
So
to see he had two 1 yard rushing touchdowns.
yeah.
So I guess I didn't. I don't remember. I mean, I assume those are tush pushes.
Yeah,
So
they were.
like,
Yeah.
like the tush push is back. Uh,
Yep.
yeah. So it kind of feels like we got the old Hurts back. I think it's probably wheels up for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, honestly, Marcus Mariota came in. Jaden Daniels seems fine. I mean, I don't think there's really any much else to cover. DK had a good game.
Yeah.
Josh Allen seemed to have a good
Also,
game.
we should just mention the Colts game. It seems official that Tyler Goodson is the Colts running back you want to own.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling proud of this one because I had 5 Trey Sermon shares in the offseason in my 7 dynasty leagues. And when he got that like hamstring injury, like it's just what I needed because like I already kind of thought Goodson was the better back. I dropped all 5 shares of Sermon that I had,
And then I picked them up.
Tyler Goodson. So like,
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about just like the ultimate, like, you know what, like this was just a little push I needed to just do a complete 180 on which players, which Colts running back I'm rostering. So that's feeling good. I think he's a good, solid player, and he looked really good in the preseason, and it's just great to see this coming to fruition. So yeah, in case there was any doubt, Goodson is that back you want to own. And I think he's pretty interesting rest of season, both in dynasty and redraft. JT just seems to always get banged up, so Goodson's a guy you want to own.
Yeah, it looks like I don't think any of these guys. No, Sermon actually got one. I guess Goodson wasn't used in the passing game, probably because AR. I mean, I guess that's the issue. Is Goodson if he had Flacco, probably would have had a much better game overall. But yeah, I mean, without JT, Tyler Goodson looked like a good waiver guy. I mean, I started him in a redraft league.
Yeah, I started him in a couple leagues this week as well.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like I couldn't even get a fourth for Tyler Goodson in the league where I'm trying to sell him as a rebuilder. I came close. The deal didn't quite get done. I can probably get that now. Of course, do I do the thing where I go like, oh, well, now I need 2 fourths, So
no, I would just take it.
I'll probably just
take it.
Yeah, so don't make that mistake.
I mean, the guy could sell you an argument. Hey, Trey Sermon was more efficient and had the receiving work. Oh, we've broken up here. Well, we are frozen up. Can't hear him. I guess I'm alive, so I'll say something here. Josh Downs goes for 1 catch in this game. I think Josh Downs is a sneaky buy. If his price isn't low enough right now, you could play it risky. Try and get him after another game with Anthony Richardson, but I think this 1 for 3 game is all you need from the Josh Downs owner to just feel like the floor is fallen from underneath him after feeling like he had such a good player. Josh Downs is honestly extremely talented. I wasn't in on him in fantasy, but I've completely turned that around. Seen him work with AR for his first game and then Flacco's next 2 or 3 games. So yeah, it feels like Josh Downs could be a fun buy low, especially if you're a rebuilder. That's what I would say with him. All right, so yeah, Dan got disconnected. So yeah, we'll end it there. Share anything, comments. Some players maybe you're reacting, you're panicking too. Yeah. So anyways, thanks for watching.